What's up, y'all? I'm here today to talk about an underappreciated and almost sort of unreleased Slick Rick record. Not really unreleased at all, because it's on vinyl on a white label, but it's an alternate version of the version that everybody knows from the album, and even the version from the album, frankly, is pretty underrated. So the song is right here, Kill Niggas, Slick Rick. This was from his third album, The Art of Storytelling. It's produced by Clark Kent. And as you can see here, this is on Xclusive Records. That's specifically misspelled. There's not an E cut off there. That's the way it's spelled. Xclusive put out a couple 12 inches, all from Def Jam, all of unreleased stuff or upcoming stuff. So I have a feeling Xclusive is one of those labels, and that these are some of those white labels that Def Jam or labels in general specifically knew about and worked with. Like, this is probably Def Jam putting it out themselves under the radar to give to DJs and stuff. This isn't really like a, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I don't think this is a strictly bootleg white label. I think this is just a promo only, we don't want to put our name on it for copyright and legal reasons kind of white label. They even specifically put a mailing address, street address here on the label, so I would assume if they're really bootleggers, they wouldn't risk that, but you never know. Alright, so even the version all you guys are probably familiar with off of the album is a pretty dope, underrated song. It's dope on two levels. Lyrically, well, maybe even more than two levels, but lyrically because it's a cool kind of follow-up to Behind Bars. Behind Bars, of course, is his, you know, taking the real-life elements of how he got arrested and sent to jail and turning it into kind of a crazy fiction. And this takes that a step further from when he got out of jail, which, of course, Art of Storytelling is the album he did when he got out of jail. And this is the story of him getting out of jail, but, of course, in this case, it's a played-up fiction, exactly where he becomes a crazed killer. Kill Niggas, hence the title of the song. So on an album that was sort of full of way too many skits, way too many unnecessary guest appearances, this is just one of those really solid, classic, dope kind of Slick Rick songs where it's just his storytelling and it's sort of his fun lyrics and his flexing his skills over a dope track. This is classic Slick Rick. The album, as a whole is pretty mixed because it's got, it's got some good guest spots. You wouldn't want to lose Outkast, you wouldn't want to lose a Nas, but Cannabis and, SNS and, some of those, even Raekwon really start to get a little excessive. So this is just one of a few really good solid tracks. When a time when Slick Rick was really getting underhyped in comparison to all the elements around him, the guest spots and all that kind of nonsense and the producers and stuff. And Slick Rick himself was maybe getting a little lost in the promotions and stuff and the marketing. So this is a song in like Two-Way Street, one of the few really good solid songs on this album that's really just him doing his own thing and showing why he's really one of the greats. And it really got kind of lost in the seas of time. So I think if you go back and revisit this album, it's a dope track to revisit. But if you're going to revisit it, it's even better to skip this version and go right to the Xclusive version. So this gets into the other reason why this is such a cool track. If you listen to this version, which I'll call the Uncut version because it's longer and it's got elements that are missing from the album version, so the Uncut version, you hear one of the cool elements of what's so good about the production. The production sounds fat on both, and the basic instrumental is the same on both. It's produced by DJ Clark Kent. But this starts out with an intro, and it's a sample from the OJ's Cry Together. There's sort of a, not one of their greatest love songs maybe, because they just are they just talk it out and all. So it's a good song. I'm not calling it whack after all. I mean, the OJ's are the OJ's. But, it's more of a slow, they're just kind of talking it out as opposed to really singing and stuff. And it's good for setting a mood, but it doesn't really feel like a proper song. I mean, I suppose that's really just my personal preferences and prejudices talking. It's not as opposed to like an objective, critical evaluation. I just personally don't really go for the songs as much. So anyway, that's besides the point. It's a cool OJ sample, certainly. And it's really slow. Do, 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 do. It's really slow. They're really milking it, and it only works because they're talking over it, And again, it is really good for setting a mood, and so it opens with that. Though they use this a little bit of a skit. You have some talking of Slick Rick getting out of jail, which is sort of on the album. There's a whole separate skit of Slick Rick getting out of jail and stuff, and actually, that version is much more annoying, frankly. It's busier. It doesn't really connect to the song the way this one does. This is actually part of the song. The music all flows together. There, it's just like a skit on an album that's full of unnecessary skits. Maybe if it was the only skit, it wouldn't bug me so much. But anyway, so it starts out with that OJ sample, do do do, and then it switches up pretty quickly, and all of a sudden it's this whole new beat, this very up-tempo beat, not really up-tempo, but boom, 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 that kind of, hip-hop tempo, but using the same sample completely chopped up, and it really sounds totally different and fresh, and you wouldn't probably ever guess what record they had sampled if they hadn't played you the slow sample first as like the underscore interlude to the skit. So you might say, Werner, the less skits the better. If there's a version of Kill Niggas without a skit at the front, I want that one, I don't want this one. But really, this, like I said, the music flows together, it blends together, it's not really a skit. There's just a little bit of talking at the intro to the song, which sets up the story of the song. And it also comes back at the end. At the end of the song, the music once again slows down, it goes back into the original sample and plays out. And it just sounds really dope, and it's really fresh, and they cut that from the album. In fact, when you hear the album, and I'm going to play clips to compare it, it's got this really kind of, I would say, awkward fade out, just going, it kind of fades out, and it sounds sloppy. Like, once you've heard the proper version, you know what they're doing, and it doesn't even sound like they should have re-recorded a new end to the song, or even just put like a bang, cell doors closed kind of sound effect to it or something to end the song, because it just sort of sounds like it's ending wrong, like, they were too lazy to really do it properly. And you can tell why, because when you hear this version, you hear how it's supposed to end. And I'm also really not sure why they cut it. You could assume for sample clearance reasons, but then I'm really like 99% sure that it's still the OJ sample being used, just completely chopped in a different way throughout the body of the song. Especially like at some point you'll hear a stab like that. It really sounds like that's from the OJs. It's possible maybe that they just replayed it. They got a band to replay the sample. Rappers do that a lot. But I don't think so. I think it's a sample just chopped up, just sort of like, Kanye West did with Otis, that sort of thing. And so obviously if they're using the sample throughout the song, then they should have it cleared for the intro and the closing, unless the OJs had some weird stipulation, we didn't want it used this way or that way, or they thought maybe if we cut off the opening and closing, nobody would be able to figure out what sample it is, because it would be hard to guess. So I don't know why they cut it, but it's definitely better this way. Possibly they also cut it because it does start and end slow, and even the album has a busier opening, and then jumps right into the song. It's the first track on the album after the intro, and this more kind of upbeat song. So maybe they felt like this slow opening was detracting from the the punch of the album or something. I don't know. If that's the reason why, that's stupid too, because it just sounds better this way, and when in doubt, always go with the better song. So I definitely recommend going back and rediscovering this song. It's just really dope on all levels, and again, rediscover the proper version if you can. It's not actually that hard to find this 12-inch. These exclusive 12 inches are pretty plentiful, again, which suggests that perhaps a label was behind it. They seem to be all over. Nowadays, you can find them really cheap on eBay and Discogs and stuff. And by the way, this exclusive 12-inch is not the only exclusive 12-inch from Slick Rick. There's another one which is actually associated with the same album. This came out before the album, and the other one I think came out before the album, but definitely came out before the single. There's this one. And this doesn't have song titles on the back there. Slick Rick and Raekwon, Back Down. And before you get too excited, ooh, Back Down, that's a whole new song. I never even heard of that. Back Down is really just Frozen with a different, either incorrect or original title, depending what the story behind the record is. The song with Raekwon from the album, so it's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. It's just called Back Down here. And Xclusive is also the label that dropped, like when LL Cool J did his Wyclef diss, all around that whole time of the Cannabis versus LL Cool J diss, and then Wyclef jumped into it, so LL dissed Wyclef as well, and he did that song Rasta and Bassa. That was an exclusive 12-inch. And there are other white labels. It's really quite a little hard to say exactly what's limited to this record label, because there are other white labels that call themselves exclusive, even spelled this way, but I don't think they're really associated. Like I have one with Trigga and Big L or something, but I think that's just a white label that's just also calling itself exclusive. It's not that original of a concept. But these have all very similar labels and logos and all that, so I'm pretty sure this and the LL Cool J and all those are associated with each other and with Def Jam. Anyway, so I have queued up both versions, so I will play you samples of both versions so you can hear the way it's supposed to, in my opinion, the way it's supposed to start, and then also the way it does on the actual album. So here we go without further ado. Okay, so 12-inch version the way it's supposed to start.
Okay, Wolf, you got all your stuff? Yeah, just about. Yeah. Y'all take care of yourself. Oh yeah, while y'all take care, try. Never forget how it was. Right? Yeah, believe me, I won't. Y'all be cool, right? Try to maintain, you know what I'm saying? Stay out the box, all that. True that, yeah. Check. I can't manage, but you must. Can't manage, but you must. Oh shit. Hoes ass kiss, cause I'm like Jason, Vision, releasing me a basket case from prison, pissed, blood fiending, the villain like, what's up, y'all? Deep down scheming how to kill her, misleading a bit. Although proceeding a hit, I made them feel I'd never jeopardize my freedom for shit. Played the empty-headed part. Though the moment they dreaded starred me, back of the head and took the credit card. Seemed properly deceased, made it look like an everyday robbery to please.
Okay, now we're going to play the CD version. And again, the CD version is the second track right here on the album. And this actually brings up another thought of why they probably cut the OG proper version, is because this jail skit, which is a separate track on the CD, features celebrities like all the skits do. You know, like Q-Tip and whoever the hell else. This one features Redman, DJ Revron, and Ed Lover. And it's not as good, but you know, when you've got a version with all the celebrities, I'm sure that's a big deal for them to get for the album, and a big thing they want to promote. So they took off the cool version and put on this version, and then they felt like, well, you can't really have two intros in a row where Slick Rick is released from jail. So I guess they felt like they had to cut it. But then why they also had to cut out the opening, I don't know, or why they couldn't have taken the instrumental from the 12-inch and underlaid it under part of the skit. Maybe that was too much work. I don't know. So anyway, this is the album version as it just sort of jumps right into it.
Yeah, check. I can't manage.
See, and now it's the same. So I get on CD here. I'll skip right to the end, and you'll hear how it ends awkwardly too. See that awkward fade out? That's the way it goes on the album. On the 12-inch, it goes back to that slow OJ sample and sounds a lot fresher. So yeah, I definitely recommend this 12-inch. Track it down. It's really worth it. It's a dope song to have anyway on 12-inch, and it's a better version. I don't particularly recommend this version unless you want it just as a pure collector's item. You know, ooh, a song with a different title backdraft, but it doesn't even have the instrumental or anything on it. Unlike this 12-inch, which at least does have the instrumental. But this one, it's really easy to find. I'm sure you'll get it pretty cheap, and it's definitely worth having. Probably heads don't even realize that there's sort of an exclusive, preferable version on this 12-inch, but there is, so run to the stores armed with that knowledge and pick it up. Till next time, I'm going to do the R&B Single Part 3, so peace. Yeah, the brightness autocorrects. It's kind of cool, but actually it's kind of lame because, you know, I can't just make a better looking shot myself.